Sifu!
Hello.
Welcome to Masters Magazine.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for your time, and I really look forward to hearing your story.
My shenanigans.
Yes, your shenanigans.
The shenanigans I got myself into, that I still sometimes get into, maybe not as severe. Yeah, I grew up in an abusive home with a neglect. There's different levels of being poor. The level we were at, we're on food stamps, had the powdered milk, the processed cheese, the government issued food and such. And I started working at a young age because, there wasn't a lot of money inside the house. And also around that time, because of all the dysfunction going on inside the home, I started doing drugs at about age 12. And I was always highly motivated though. So I had this older half brother of mine. He was in trouble with the law a lot. So a lot of times my parents' attention and energy was going to him. So I saw that, they'd send him to juvie, then they send him to the CYA, or you send him to the boys ranch. He escaped from the boys ranch, send him to California Youth Authority, and it was that kind of system. I didn't want to, be like him. So I wanted, I knew how to stay one step ahead of the law, not get caught like how he did. And so I was highly motivated though. So I started working as a butcher at age 15 and a half in high school. I grew up in East San Jose. And in high school, though, I got kind of like a little art scholarship to go to a different high school that was over 10 miles away. So there was no bus, so I had to ride my bike from East San Jose to, West San Jose. And I did my AP studies in art. And then also, too, I started working going to school as a mechanic part-time. I go to high school part-time, then the rest of the day they'd send me to an adult educational school called CCOC, where I got my Class A state brake license, my license for overhauling engines, tune-ups and electrical systems, those kinds of things. Anyways, fast forward, what had happened was that right before my 19th birthday, my birthday's in September, my senior year in high school, I had a heart attack from a meth overdose. And the weird thing about that heart attack was that I hadn't used it like 2 days. And for some reason this kicked in. And anyways, the doctors had said to my father, who was outside the curtain in the ER, he said, well, if your son was any older, then this would have killed him. But also I was doing sports, so I played football, I wrestled, those kinds of things. And so the doctor said, your son got a hold of some bad stuff. Well, I'm 19 years old, I was like, or 18 years old, and I thought to myself, wow, I've gotten a hold of stuff hasn't gotten me off before, but nothing's ever done this. And so then what happened was that a few months later I used again. I had another heart attack. This one was less severe, and because of the shame and guilt from the first one, I told myself that I was going to die that day. So I didn't call 911. So I was seeing a therapist at the time. The therapist said, you need to go see a cardiologist. Cardiologist confirmed that yes, I did have another minor heart attack, but he told me, he said, Chris, the reality is that because of your age, we don't really know what kind of damage you've done to your heart. You may not wake up one day. And so it was that point that I realized, like, oh wow, I need to change my path because I'm going to end up dead, in jail, or in prison, or both, because that's the path I was heading, right? But on a side note, the other thing too was that growing up in East San Jose, I would, in my senior years of high school, I'd get jumped. I'd start fighting one guy. Next thing you know, I have 2 or 3 guys on me, kicking me on the ground and such. So I put myself into Taekwondo, not only to change my path, to give me some discipline, but try to give me a means to be able to handle multi-assailants. Right. And so that's how my journey with Taekwondo started. But it didn't start until I was like, 20 or 21 years old. I started competing in full contact right away with Master Fong, West Coast Taekwondo in San Jose, California. And then I transferred to another school from there, but I started off with Master Fong's first. And at this other school, I was training one night, and somebody accidentally kicked me in the low back. And it left me with a devastating back injury. And at the time, certain doctors were saying, Chris, you need spinal surgery to fix this, because you move the wrong way, go to pick up the shoe the wrong way, you might not walk again. And so another physician, she had a different idea, and she said, well, we could do this, this, and this instead. And at the time, she had a therapist working for her, and he was a martial artist. And he started talking about chi, and in Taekwondo we call it ki, right? But the construct for which he was describing this chi was totally different. And, my young, immature 21-year-old mind, frontal cortex not fully developed, right? It's like chi what? Cheez-Its? Like cheesy? Like what is this chi thing, right? And I started talking about qigong, and this was over 30 years ago. And very few people that I knew of anyway were talking about qigong, at least here in the West Coast. And so I had nothing to lose. I started taking these qigong classes, and at the time there's only a couple of women in the class. And I had other health problems too. I had severe digestive problems. If I ate an avocado or a salad, I was vomiting or in a fetal position in the middle of the night. Any kind of animal fat, same thing as well too, or anything greasy or fried. Just horrible issues with my digestion. I lived on all kinds of medications.
This was all related to the back.
Well, this was I had the digestive issues and the sinus issues first, but then I had these back issues now because of this injury that I had. And when I started taking these qigong classes, after about 6 months, I couldn't tell you exactly when, but all of a sudden the realization of, wow, when did I have to stop living on the medication, the antibiotics? I couldn't give you a pinpoint date, but it was the realization like, wow, there's something to this. So I thought to myself, okay, if a simple, specific qigong meditation and or movement could do this to me, then there must be something to the practice. And so that's when I dove in deeper with qigong and then started diving into classical Chinese medicine.
It is so hard to explain to people about the feeling when you're practicing qigong. Now I'm very surprised at your young age that you were able to achieve that and stick with it, because a lot of people give up. They don't feel it. They don't want to feel it.
That's a really great question, because like I said, there's a couple of women in the class and they're having all these experiences. Wow, I'm feeling this tingling sensation, this buzzing or vibration. So first I thought I was like a chi dud, because I wasn't feeling anything. I mean, I feel hot. I feel maybe cold sensations, maybe lightness, but like what they're describing, I'm like, I missed the boat, and but what happened though was that I started to notice that things were transforming in my life. So we talk about my health, but my outside environment and what I was drawing into my environment started to change as well. Because when we talk about energy, what we don't recognize, a lot of people don't recognize, is that what's going on the inside, especially our thoughts, projects as a vibration to the outside world. And then that will attract whatever it is, whatever vibrational level that you are vibrating at by what it is that you're thinking or what it is that you're harboring, or whatnot. But when people say to me, well, Chris, what is qi? How do I get the concept of qi? The best way to describe it is blood or fluids inside the body. Your blood is your qi. In fact, in Chinese medicine, we actually will say that the two are intertwined within each other, just like yin and yang, can't be separated. So they say the blood contains the qi, and the qi moves the blood as circulation around the body. And so for myself, what started to happen was that not only was my health getting better, but I started studying the teachings from Master Hua Jingni on Taoism. He's a 38, 39 generation Taoist Chinese medicine master. And his teachings were much different than, let's say, other types of teachings. So very deep. Like you'd read something and it's like, what did he just say? But what started to happen was I started to have other experiences as well too. And a lot of times, like we have a Qigong teacher training program, and I tell my students, I don't share openly my experiences that I had, because I don't want people to think, oh, well, that's what I want to aim my practice to achieve. When you have these, I don't know, extraordinary or supernatural gifts that appear, it's a gift. It's like a gift from God, right? Well, it is a gift from God, but it's not that you don't try to keep your practice to achieve that, because you actually will limit your growth in your personal development. And so for me, this energy has expanded down to what I refer to, besides seeing patients in clinic and being able to feel them. So when a patient walks in, even if they're smiling at me, I could feel if they're happy, I could feel if they're sad, they're anxious, angry, I feel them. I'm very hands-on with my patients, but if I'm palpating, I could feel the difference between what is a blockage of qi, blood, fluids, or whatever, or deficiency, and or cancer, for example. There's a different sensation. So this whole idea of cultivating this life force energy, what it does is, first and foremost, it gets you in tune with your own body. The Yellow Emperor says, the Yellow Emperor's classic of difficulty is also referred to as the Su Wen. He says, to fight disease after disease sets in is like digging a well after one has become thirsty, or forging one's weapons after engaging in battle. Wouldn't that be too late? So the whole idea of Qigong is that you become your own superior doctor, meaning that you develop this all-knowingness within yourself, or the sensitivity within yourself to understand when there's a discord happening internally before it actually manifests as clinical disease. All right, this first Qigong practice that I call pulling down the heavens, and this is a great practice to do just to center yourself, or if you have something traumatic going on, just to be able to pull yourself back to center. I find that also kids, especially kids that are autistic or on the spectrum, really benefit from doing this practice, and it's a very easy practice to do. We're going to start off with our feet out about shoulders width apart. Our toes are pointing straight ahead. We are unlocking those knees, tucking the sacrum underneath, which presses back the Ming Men, which is the acupuncture point in between the left and the right kidney. So if you were to stick a dowel through the belly button, that dowel will come out on the back side of where that Ming Men is. So now I've got the sacrum tucked underneath. I'm going to relax the shoulders. Tip of the tongue curls to the roof of the mouth behind the teeth as if saying the letter N. The breath is long, steady, even, and deep into the lower dantian, or into the lower abdomen. So as we breathe, we want the abdomen to expand like a balloon. Front, back, left, right, up, as well as down. So pushing up into the yellow quart region, pushing down on the perineum as well too. Very simple practice. I'm going to inhale, grab the energy, connecting with your higher power, whatever that is, or just imagine a white light as we exhale. And just imagine this white light flowing down through the body, through the tissues, and down deep into the ground. Inhale through the nose and out through the nose. And then as you exhale, that white light calms the mind, settles the body. Help to pull you back to center. And again, the breath is through the nose to regulate the flow of qi as we exhale. And you can do this 3 times or as many times as you want. I'm going to do a few more here just so you feel as we exhale. Guiding the energy all the way out through all the tissues, out through the bubbling well points at the bottom of the feet and down deep into the ground. Let's do one more here, and then I'm going to teach a different variation as we exhale. Notice how I'm using the thumbs to guide the qi down and out through the legs, out through the bubbling well points and down deep into the ground. Next practice here, we're going to cup the hands, take the Lao Gong points on the pericardium channel. I'm going to scoop the air, pulling the air into the qi into the third eye, also referred to as yin tong, pulling into the upper dantian as I inhale. Then I'm guiding the qi into the middle dantian, down into the lower dantian. So this one's different. This one's to cultivate, help to open up those 3 energy centers or reservoirs of the body. So in internal cultivational practices, this is a great practice to do. They say that the acupuncture meridians are the rivers which feed into the internal organs, which are the lakes, which then feed into the 3 C's of energy, which are the 3 dantians. As I exhale. And it's good to use your whole body. Again, tip of the tongue, curled to the roof of the mouth behind the teeth. Breath long, steady, even, and deep, in and out through the nose. Open up the center. Now if you want to go inward more, it's okay to have a soft, unfocused gaze, or I like to actually close my eyes and feel this qi as I pull into yin tong. And then as I exhale from the upper dantian to the heart center, middle dantian to the lower dantian, right below the belly button, about 1 inch below the belly button. Pull in, exhale, using the hands to guide the energy down. Let's do one more. Feel that energy. Pulling in and exhale. All right, just very great practice to be able to center yourself. If you're in an intense situation and you need to calm yourself down, stopping, pulling down the heavens a few times will help you pull back to center and help you to regain control over what's going on, especially internally and with your emotions. So it's such a simple practice to do. You can also do this from a seated position too. So if you're somebody who has lower back issues, you're paraplegic, or you're somebody who's in a wheelchair, you could actually sit and do this practice. But the other cool thing too, let's say if you are a paraplegic, because our minds are powerful things, you could imagine this practice and get the same benefits.
When a person walks in, what are you reading? What are you looking at? Are you looking at their body language? Are you looking at their vibration? Are you looking at, posture? What are you?
Okay, when a patient walks in, I observe everything: how they walk, the energy, even the type of clothes that they wear. Do their clothes have patterns? Because those patterns connect to different internal organs of the body. What colors are their clothes? Because is that demonstrating an excess or deficiency inside the body, and they're wearing those colors because it's subconsciously the body knows that it needs those colors in order to feel more balanced. But the other thing too, besides looking at the tongue and reading the pulse, I could read a person's face. And every feature on a person's face tells me not only the personality of the person, but more importantly, it tells me potential diseases and also trapped emotions inside the body, which show up as disease. And so observation, interrogation, which is the Q&A with the patient, tells me a lot. And listening. And listening means, even palpating is listening. It's a weird concept, or maybe for some people it may be a strange concept, but this is listening too. I'm listening to the body. And also I'm listening to what's not said between the questions. That silence in between tells me a lot too. And the body language will tell me a lot as well too. And what's interesting, they call it interrogation, but the Q&A with the patient, when I'm doing that Q&A with the patient, if I'm not getting the answers that I'm looking for, then I start reading the face and calling them out. Because the face doesn't lie. It does not lie. And each portion of your face connects to different internal organs of the body. And different lines and different markings on the face actually will show us an indication of certain specific diseases or potential for disease, as well as, again, I'm going to go back to the emotions, because in classical Chinese medicine, the leading cause of death and disease, besides poor diet, besides not working out, is emotions. And it's not that these emotions are bad, it's when they're not expressed appropriately that it shows up as inflammatory diseases. So, when I have one of my favorite case studies, I had a woman come in with lower back issues. And they said, okay, well, we'll fix her back, or fix your back. And as I'm taking her soap notes, I was reading her face, and I said, okay, well, we'll fix your back, but you have to deal with that resentment that you have towards men. And she goes, oh, I dealt with that years ago. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I type her notes. And so she continued to come in if she got a flu or a virus or something like that, or tweaked her shoulder. She was a personal trainer and in really good shape. And then one day she came in, and something I saw on her tongue, something she had said, and something I saw on her face, I said, I need you to make an appointment with your primary care physician. I want your carotid arteries tested. She goes, you're crazy. She goes, look at me. I have almost 0% body fat. I work out 1 to 2 hours every day. I eat healthy. I said, well, I'm seeing this. I have to refer out, and I'm putting this in your notes. Anyways, 2 weeks later, she was sitting in my lobby in tears. And she said, I want to thank you for saving my life. Both my carotid arteries are 70% blocked. 70% blocked. So if she's eating right and she's exercising, what is the one part that she was missing? That was the resentment. It could have been an ex-husband, it could have been her father, or a combination thereof. And the nice thing was that I gave her these specific Qigong practices, along with treatment and herbs, and changed the diet according to Chinese nutrition. Her physician and I worked together, put her on no medications, and in 1 year she went back in and her arteries were clear. It's not magic. It's not magic. It's understanding that emotions are energy too, and trapped emotions create trapped energy. For example, too much anger, resentment, hatred will trap the blood and qi of the liver and create all kinds of discords, dysfunctions. All digestive issues, majority of digestive issues, are due to an imbalance of the liver and gallbladder. And going back to when I was younger, when I first started practicing Qigong, hence the reason why I had those digestive issues, Now, doctors at the time, thank God they didn't take out my gallbladder, because normally that's what would have happened. But I had all the tests. I lived on all kinds of medications. But after studying Chinese medicine and diving deeper within the Qigong, I realized, like, oh, there's so much anger and hostility inside the house. I mean, I stabbed my older brother at age 11 for attacking my mom. This is the kind of environment that I lived in, you know? And people would say to me, they say, Chris, you're angry. I'd be like, F you, you're angry, right? What are you talking about? But I realized I was. And as I started to transmute that, then guess what? Digestive issues went away. So when we look at this life force energy, it emanates through all things seen and unseen. This chair that I'm sitting on is conscious. If it wasn't conscious, its molecules would disperse into nothingness, right? So everything is a form of energy, but right now we're just talking about it in terms of our bodies and how can we have this vitality. And I love physical exercise. I still train. I love to work out. And you know, working out is a great dopamine release for the body. So when people are under stress or have emotional trauma or abuse, a lot of times, you know, we'll get into martial arts or, you know, boxing or something, or weightlifting as a means to be able to help us deal with that. But only hits to a certain level. That's why people need to go inside more. They need to go inside and figure out what's going on. And when I read a person's face, my job is not to force feed them that, hey, you have daddy issues, you have mommy issues, oh, your ex-wife cheated on you. No, it's not to force feed the patient that. It's to open up the opportunity that, hey, this guy is seeing this on my face. That means that somewhere in my tissues, that is still there.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about the external, internal.
So the difference between external and internal Qigong, or external or internal martial arts, is that, you know, external arts is they consider hard style, you know, you know, when we're breathing and those kinds of things, when you go through a punch or a kick, you know, we may make a sound or breathe a certain way to help with deliver the strike or whatnot. The internal Qigong practice teaches you how to listen to your body. And when I was competing with Chen style Tai Chi in tournaments, the differences between when I was doing kickboxing is that, you know, kickboxing, you know, you start off across the ring from the opponent. Tai Chi, we start off touching the opponent. As soon as I touch my opponent, I can feel where he is holding tension in his body. And then when the referee rings the bell, my job is to do a chin-ah or whatever, joint lock or sweep, and then bring down to the Lei-Tai. But again, it has to come back first to listening to yourself first. When I tell people that Tai Chi is originally a martial art, and the Chen family Tai Chi system is the oldest system of Tai Chi, there's still, Chen village is still active in China today. And they train it like a full-time job. They cultivate it like a full-time job, because it is a poor community. And so when we talk about internal martial arts or internal cultivation, you're listening to yourself first. So when I say to people, yeah, well, Tai Chi originally was a martial art. They say, well, how do you fight with it? Do you go, tag, you're it? I'm like, no. Those movements teach you how to listen to your body. Because something as simple as adjusting your elbow from here to here can make all the difference in the world of how strong you are. Here, you're going to have to rely upon brute force, because now what have I done? When I raise that elbow here, guess what? I've now jammed the chi in the shoulder. But here, I'm much stronger. So it teaches you first how to listen to your body. Then yes, a lot of those postures are actually fighting applications. And then from there, then if you decide you want to compete with it, then you go ahead and compete. Most people do it for their own health, because it actually helps to increase the gray matter inside the brain. But you still need to have also, like when we're looking at external martial arts as well too, well, your cardio conditioning is your chi. If you're gassing out, then what's going on internally that's causing you to gas out? So you may not call it Qigong, like you said, but even, you know, if you're doing, you know, 3 5-minute rounds or, you know, or whatever, that takes a lot of conditioning in order to be able to perform at that level. So what organs are functioning and how are those organs functioning is really important to be able to make sure that you have the proper conditioning, that you have the stamina, that you are conscious and calm. through the combat. And that takes, that cultivation, it's a form of cultivation, that takes a lot of practice. My next favorite Qigong practice to give to people when I'm giving public talks or giving talks to trauma nurses and to doctors is the heart healing sound, also referred to as the dry cry. A lot of people don't realize that our consciousness is actually here in the heart, not here in the brain. In fact, in Chinese philosophy, Chinese medicine, we have a saying that the heart houses the mind, which houses the Shen. So the heart will take the brunt of all the emotions. If you think about it, if you get angry about something, your heart will race, then it attacks your liver and your gallbladder. If you become fearful about something, your heart races, then weakens your kidneys and your bladder. If you become worried about something, your heart races, weakens your spleen and your pancreas. If you're grieving the loss of a loved one or a pet, your heart will hurt and then it will weaken the lungs. So the healing sound of the heart is ha, like laughing, because believe it or not, one of the negative emotions that affects the heart is too much joy. Did you realize that, did you know that you could actually die of a heart attack from laughing too hard? And at first I thought this was the craziest thing on earth, but actually, unfortunately, I did see it happen. But if you think about it, if you have a laughing attack at something, what's the first thing you and everybody else does? Why? Because the heart is trying to regain balance again, that's why. If you're grieving a loved one or a breakup or something like that, your heart hurts, the person sighs a lot. A deeper condition that will happen with people mentally or emotionally that's when their heart is being affected by something is that they will develop a case of chronic hiccups. So this practice is very easy to do. Now, obviously, if you're alone, you're going to do the sound audibly, making the ha sound, and it's very simple to do. All we're going to do is inhale, imagine a pink cloud or a red cloud filling up into the heart center. And then to make this into a mindfulness practice, if there's something currently going on with you right now, some kind of anxiety, worry, or grief that you're going through, you're going to feel that now. Who's involved? What's involved? Feel that. Pull the pink cloud into the heart as I inhale. Then I'm going to lift the chin. Imagine that circumstance leaving like a dark cloud, going several feet away from the body and deep into the ground. Reason why I'm lifting the chin is because if you've ever gotten sad, get that stuck feeling in the throat, we call that the plum seed effect. We want to release that plum seed as we exhale. Now the great thing about this too is you do it over and over again. Inhale. And as you're making the sound, imagine that circumstance leaving like a dark cloud, going several feet away from the body and deep into the ground. Over and over again. And now, if you want to work on things from the past, then you'd focus on past trauma or past events. Basically, when your parents passed away, some kind of childhood trauma or event that happened to you, or a divorce or something that happened, you'd then feel that, bring it into the present moment. Who's involved? What's involved? Feel it now like it's just occurred. Visualize it, and then as you inhale, pull the pink cloud in. Now the cool thing about this practice is that obviously you're not going to probably be doing this practice audibly if you're out in public. Well, certain parts of San Francisco or Los Angeles you'll get away with it, but you could do the sound underneath your breath. So instead of you suppressing what you're feeling, which shows up as chronic inflammation and chronic disease and chronic pain, you release it as it comes up. So very simple. So now you're releasing it, allowing that to leave like a dark cloud. Inhale. And going several feet away from the body. And as you let go of whatever is going on for you, then you bring in the positive virtue of the heart, which is love. And it's not just the romantic type of love, it's a universal love that all beings innately should have for one another. If you want to move into a heart cleansing exercise, we could hold the ball and press, standing in our Wu Ji posture. Inhale, center, imagine a pink cloud filling up into the heart. As I exhale, I'm going to imagine that circumstance leaving out the hands. In particular, I'm going to imagine leaving out the pinkies because that's where the heart acupuncture channel ends, heart 9, and connects with the small intestine meridian, okay? So if I face center here, you could hold a ball and press. So the hand that goes to the bottom of the ball, guess what? It goes to the top of the press. It's almost like a block and a strike. That's all we're doing. But in this case here, clearing the heart channel emerges from The armpit here travels all the way down to the pinky. So we're going to stare at that pinky and press. Now, if I want to include the heart healing sound, same thing, pull that pink cloud in, focus on a situation that's hurt the heart. Inhale in the center. Again. Or if you want to do it underneath your breath, you do it underneath your breath. Inhale. And then from here, just to center yourself, you just finish by pulling down the heavens 3 times. Inhale. And just allow for any excess vibration or emotion to release out through the bottom of the feet, the bubbling well points down deep into the ground. As we exhale. And third one, inhale. And letting go. So how I got involved with the healing arts, I never thought I was going to be a healer or an instructor. I thought, okay, I'm going to be an artist. Like I said, I did my AP studies in art. I started becoming a butcher at age 15 and a half. I was actually a butcher for 21 years, back in the day when we used to get the hanging sides of beef in, back in the day. And then, like I said, I had these automotive licenses that I was getting. So it was like, okay, if I don't make it as an artist, I'll be a butcher. Don't make it as a butcher, I'll be a mechanic. Healer was not even on my radar. So I took a chance because at the time I was living paycheck to paycheck. I couldn't afford to pay rent at this clinic. So I worked out a deal where we did a percentage. And then from there I moved to another clinic with the Good Samaritan Health Group. And then from there I started my own clinic in Willow Glen in San Jose. So that's how I got the start. But certain things were happening, and when somebody starts a business as an entrepreneur, like people don't just come knocking down your door. Like I had 1 patient and no patients, 2 clients, 2 students and no students coming for Tai Chi classes, and I was really getting discouraged. And then I had somebody, a mentor that I really looked up to. He would say to me, Chris, it's one thing to practice Tai Chi and Qigong, it's another thing to run a business. Let's see how long you last out there. And so this combination was taking the wind out of my sail. And then what happened was that 2 things happened. One, I don't know if you remember Sylvia Brown back in the day.
Yeah.
The psychic. Mm-hmm. Okay, so she was doing a book signing at Walmart. And so I had her book, she was sitting there. I didn't tell her what I was doing, my new career path. I gave her my book. I said, this new career path that I've chosen, I said, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And she looks up she signs my book, she looks up at me and she goes, you're a healer and a teacher. You're on the right path. I was like, oh, okay. And then fast forward, I had a Chinese birth chart reading with Master Hua Jingyi, who I talked about, who started Yosan University and the Dao Wellness Center. And he said to me, he goes, your business will do good in the San Francisco Bay Area. He said, but if you move to the Southwest, you'll do even better. But then he said, but if you move to Argentina or to Chile, you'll live like a king. So, how's your Spanish? So going back to the clinical practice, I started off in Los Gatos. I moved with the Samaritan Health Group, and then I started my own space in downtown Willow Glen in San Jose. And what was interesting was that I believe in manifestation. And again, going back to energy, cultivation. I believe you could co-create with God your reality. Depends on what you're seeing and thinking up here. So this is during around the .com crash up in the Bay Area. So doctors and practices were closing down left and right. And so I made an offer to the property management. Said, I'll pay you, I think it was like $350 a month for like a 3,000 square foot office until a bigger fish comes in.
Right.
They agreed to it. So I was teaching my Qigong because then I could teach staff, I could teach broadsword and all that kind of stuff, right? And for some reason, because I did old school planner, my ledger was in the planner, my schedule was in the planner. I still kind of do that today, even with technology. But anyways, I had written inside this planner, move classes to Willow Glen in San Jose, California, right? Don't know why. So that was in July. September, I get an email from the property management that says, bigger fish is moving in. So I was like, shoot. So I go to Willow Glen. Someone calls me to Willow Glen, and I go to the United Methodist Church. I ring the doorbell, and the secretary there, I start talking to her. Her name is Debbie, and I was saying, yeah, I teach Qigong and Tai Chi. She goes, no way. I was just talking to the pastor of the church about bringing Tai Chi to the church. So because they're a nonprofit, I couldn't charge. So I made a deal with them that a certain amount of their parishioners could come in exchange for me to teach classes. So I moved the classes there. And then about a year after that, I moved my clinic to downtown Willow Glen. And the first year, again, paycheck to paycheck still. That was the other thing too. I was still a butcher when I started my business. For the first 4 years of building Morning Crane, I averaged only 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night. Did that for 4 years. So then it got to a place where like it was too much. And I retired from the meat industry after 21 years and then made this vocation as a healer and instructor my full-time gig. So then fast forward, I'm married again, 2 more kids, because I can't learn from the first time. And I get divorced, a lot of chaos, but the nice thing is I have Qigong to help me through the chaos. And fast forward, then I meet my wife and business partner, who I'm with today, my wife Parisa. And how we met was that my last competitions I did at age 40. So I had a Kung Fu match in April, at a kickboxing Sanshou smoker in May, and then I had a Kung Fu Grand Championship in June. I said, okay, if I win the Grand Championship, I'll stop competing. Well, I won. Okay, so anyways, one of my instructors, who was a photographer, her name was Susan, she had taken photographs, and there was a picture of I was standing where the competitors behind the bars, the railings or whatever. My kids were leaning against me. My daughter was leaning against me like this. I have a big old black eye. She takes this picture, and she gives it to this gal, Lori. Lori says to Parisa, because Lori was a client of mine, and I fixed her shoulder. I didn't know this at the time, but Lori was also doing Pilates in Los Gatos with Parisa. Said, you got to beat this guy, Chris, blah, blah, blah. He just won this big trophy and all this kind of stuff. She shows Parisa that picture, my big black eye and my daughter leaning against me like that. She goes, no way, man. Like, this guy has kids. Like, Parisa's mentor, who she learned Pilates from, fired her because Parisa happened to tell one of the other Pilates instructor that she wanted to start her own school one day. So that instructor got threatened and fired her. And so she called me and she says, I heard about how you fixed Lori's shoulder. I've been practicing Qigong now at De Anza College, and I want to see your clinic and your studio, and I want to hear more about what you do. I said, okay, well, let's meet for lunch or an early dinner. And so she said dinner, and I wasn't thinking date. I was thinking potential patient, subtenant. That's where my mind was going. Anyways, she was cute because she walked in with her business attire, slacks, her blouse. She had a resume in her hand. And I walked out of my treatment room. It was like, the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner show cartoons. I was like, blue guy, like, holy shit. And so, anyways, we go out to Fresh Mex, this place called and it had a couple of mango margaritas, and 3 o'clock in the morning, I said, I still haven't seen that resume yet, but you're hired. All right, so since that time, what happened was that my old fight coach was Kung Lee. Kung Lee is a former UFC fighter, and he was giving me publicity up in the San Francisco Bay Area, Showtime, NBC Sports, all this kind of stuff. And so I was training with his fight team, but also I was his Chinese medicine doctor. There was a gentleman down here named Eric, the trainer, his Hollywood physique expert, and this massive Jewish guy with long blonde hair who had this huge heart, just huge heart. Anyways, my wife and I were coming down to do a fundraiser with Robert Downey Jr., and he said, well, before you meet with Robert, let's meet by LAX. So we met. He said, Chris, Kung told me what you're doing in the Bay Area, nobody's doing that in LA here. And I said, Eric, give me a break. There's millions of people here. He goes, no, I know the who's who. And at first I thought he was full of it, because so many people in LA say they know, I'll connect you to this person or whatever. Anyways, he started flying me down and started giving me all of his high profile clients. And so what ended up happening was that I was being flown around the country seeing different patients. I was on tour with Def Leppard and Journey, treating the band and such because of Eric. And finally I had to ask myself, what are you killing yourself for, Chris? Because this is exhausting. We did this for 7 years, back and forth between San Jose and LA here. And I realized that the next stage of my career is television. So I just published my second book, Chris Shelton's Easy Guide to Fixing Neck and Back Pain. And that book I worked on for over 10 years. And of all the clinical diseases that I see, back issues and neck issues are number one. And when I tell people that back pain is easy to fix, they look at me like, oh, you're crazy, but it actually is. So I have that book. I have another book that's coming out here in January, which is a third edition. It's Chris Shelton's Easy Guide to Emotional Well-Being with Qigong. So again, teaching the Qigong for mental health issues, because these mental health issues is what shows up as chronic inflammation and disease inside the body. And fast forward here, so in 2022 we shot a 15-minute short documentary. It came out really well. I had to pull the plug the last minute before I went to the film festivals. Right now where we're currently at is that we're working with other people to get that film into the film festivals. I'm looking from there to make my own documentary style TV show, kind of like, Caesar the Dog Whisperer, but for humans. And the whole purpose is to show people that they don't have to live with chronic pain and disease, that you could transform it if you just understand the body. And so we started another mastermind program. It's a 2-year graduate level program called Curative Qigong. And Curative Qigong, what I'm hoping for is that people will see this film, they will see the TV series, and they will get inspired to want to help other people and come and study with me. Because what I do in clinical practice and the success that I get over and over and over again in clinical practice, I could teach to other people. And so from there, I want them to go back to study with me, go back into their communities around the world and help other people. That's the big mission. This is where we're at right now. And again, it's all about self-empowerment. We want to empower people. This idea that these ancient arts are to be hidden in secrecy, no. It's a gift for the world. This next Qigong practice is called the White Pearl Meditation, and all we're going to do is a very simple practice. You can do this from a lying down position, you do this from a standing Wu-Ji posture, or from a seated Wu-Ji posture. So Wu-Ji stands for or represents emptiness or nothingness. The Tao, God, is that emptiness. We can mimic that by standing with our feet out, about shoulders width apart, unlocking those knees, toes pointing straight ahead or just slightly off, just in alignment with those knees. Tucking your sacrum underneath, which then presses back the Ming Men, which is the acupuncture point right opposite the belly button between the left and the right kidney. Now the importance of this is because they say the Ming Men represents fire and the kidneys is the water. So it's a proper mixture of fire and water which produces the steam or the mist or the qi that circulates around the body. Tip the tongue, gently curl to the roof of the mouth behind the teeth as if saying the letter N. Now they say that the left side of the body is yang for male, so normally men are more yang typology, so we want to contain the yang qi by placing the yin qi over the top. So right hand is yin, right side of the body is yin. Women, other way around. You want to contain that yin energy, so the right hand goes over the lower dantian 1 inch below the belly button, placing the Lao Gong over with the left hand over that right hand, and then we're going to do the practice. So because I'm a man, I'm going to go ahead and contain that yang energy that I have. My wife is always telling me to do that, by the way. Anyways, I'm going to allow that breath now to come in, and as I close my eyes, I'm going to inhale, expanding the abdomen, front, back, left, right, above and beneath, in all directions like a balloon. Imagine a white mystical pearl that forms underneath the hands, gathering the energy from the space around me. As I exhale, I'm going to allow for the white light and the pearl to radiate around the waist to the kidneys on the low back. Each time I inhale, the pearl gets brighter and brighter, collecting the energy from the space around me. And following the belt acupuncture meridian, I'm going to allow for the warmth and the white light to radiate around the waist into the kidneys, strengthening those kidneys. Inhale over and over. Feel the white pearl expanding brighter and brighter. And then as you exhale, collapsing the abdomen, doing natural breathing, filling up into the kidneys. Inhale. And exhale, feel that warmth, feel the vitality, as it fills up into the kidneys. And last practice here, last breath. Now you could do this 9 to 36 times or as much as you like, whatever feels good for you. Inhale and exhale into the kidneys. I'm going to do just one more. Inhale, gathering the energy from the sky, the floor, all four directions into the lower dantian, the lower field of elixir. And then as I exhale, feel the warmth and the white light radiate around the waist to the kidneys. And then from there, you just slowly open your eyes. And this practice you could do anywhere. Like I said, you do it from a lying down position, you do it from a seated position, you could also do it from the standing wuji posture. We normally recommend, if you have any type of febrile disease, severe disease, that all these Qigong practices you do from either a seated or a lying down position, because when you stand, it takes much more Qi. So if you are sick and you're trying to tonify or rebuild yourself, lay down and do the practice. This White Pearl meditation, which is available, I have on iTunes and on Spotify, by the way. This White Pearl meditation is so good. One, gets you out of your head and pulls you back into your body. Two, our kidneys are responsible for how long our life will be. The time of conception between God and our parents and our environment predetermines our kidney well, which is our battery. As we age, guess what? This kidney well or battery naturally starts to decline. And the kidneys are the root of everything inside the body. All the fluids, blood of the body, the root of the heat in the body. So we want to pay special attention to tonifying those kidneys, because the kidneys are the one organ, according to classical Chinese medicine, that are always deficient, never excess. So we always want to do things. Make sure you hydrate well, plenty of room temperature water, plenty of rest, make sure you're dieting properly, but also too, this White Pearl meditation and these other Qigong practices will help you live the ultimate life that you are meant to live. Yeah, so this, where we're at right now is really about empowering other people, that you could take control over your own health and well-being and share this knowledge with other people. Because if we are able to share this knowledge, then what will happen is that the world and this planet, the vibration lifts. And when people say, you know, let's have war on drugs, or the war on poverty, or the war on hate, when you say war like that, all you do is you create more hate. All you do is create more war. Why not all of us collectively get together, go inward, improve our own lives, our own well-being, and that by itself will increase the vibration of the planet.
Sifu, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Words of wisdom are well taken from you.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you soon
Yes.
for another interview.
Oh, great.
Wing Chun uses what we call biuji. Biuji is the darting fingers. A lot of people think that you send the biuji from underneath and out, or on top and out. But the idea is not to use your fingertips to strike people. The idea is that it's never seen. So we have the saying, biuji bachatmun, means biuji does not come out the gate. You don't see biuji at all. So here I'll show you some examples of how to use biuji. One more. All right, Wing Chun has a common application, sakyeongso. Problem is most people use the elbow up. I tend to use the elbow down, so I can have double insurance. As I said, you're going to strike, you have protection at all times. Attack. Although Wing Chun is called Wing Chun fist, it could also be called Wing Chun palm. We use the palm so many times in the art, and actually the palm strikes outnumber the number of fist strikes. So we'll be using what we call changjiang, the thrusting palm. First one. Wing Chun uses what we call Pok Yik Sao. Pok Yik Sao is the flapping wing. It's from the Yin Kei San system and also from Gulao Wing Chun system. We use both palms, striking out horizontally. So the detail is circle and strike, circle and strike. The next tool I'll introduce is Biu Sao. Biu Sao comes from the third form, Biu Ji. But here we use the bridge as the major tool. Again, it's an uprooting tool, right? Send the opponent flying and break his structure. When we learn Wing Chun, we're often introduced to the basic hands. There's Fuk Sao, there's Tan Sao, there's Bong Sao, there's Jat Sao, there's Biu Sao, so on and so forth. These hands get to be very confusing. The idea behind Wing Chun is very simple. Strike the strike, punch the punch, kick the kick. Don't use the defensive hands. Those defensive hands are showing you bridging. And the idea behind bridging is that it's supposed to show you, okay, I could hit you there. In Wing Chun, the idea is you got this position. If he throws a strike, I shouldn't just do Fuk Sao, right? Because then you're blocking. You block first and then strike. That's slow. That's inefficient. The idea behind doing the Fuk Sao is that I'm showing the parry, but I'm showing the line of entry into the opponent, right? So you should do that in one motion. That means punch the punch. He throws the punch, boom, you come in and strike him. I've taken the same line of entry into the opponent. He comes again, boom, I strike and slide in, okay? Then I punch the punch, okay? Similarly, it applies to the legs as well. If he kicks me, straight kick, I kick his kick. I don't want his kick. I don't want to block his kick. If he throws a round kick to me and I block it, it's very painful for me. I'm gonna have a big bruise and it's gonna injure me, it's gonna hurt me. What I want to do is, he kicks me, boom, I want to kick his kick. I'm going to kick the inside of his leg, or I want to kick his center of gravity, boom, into his groin, or he kicks, boom, I kick his post, his supporting leg. Preemptive. It's much safer for you to use striking rather than using a defensive hand.
The people, they're not willing to sacrifice in the tournament. They can fight tournaments for 40 years, they don't win. Why? They're not willing to commit. I don't like to disengage once I engage. Because why? I spend all this effort and time trying to break his barrier. And once I do that and pull out, that tells me that I'm just fighting. And I don't want to fight. My whole purpose is to defeat. My philosophy is that I allow him to decide how he wants to die. I don't decide, he decides. So what I'm doing is I'm waiting for a mistake. Future. How do you go into the future? You take his mind, put him in the past, you're in the future.